mine potential. 50 units of the finest industrial-grade diamonds available in the Southeast. Chapter 34. Diamonds are a broker's best friend. Rodney leaned in, squinting at the stones. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a jeweler's loop that Dell had bought from a car boot sale in 1989. Dell, Rodney whispered, "I'm not sure. They don't sparkle." "Of course they don't sparkle, you tart," Dell hissed. "They're raw. You have to cut them to get the fire. Harry, my managing director here, is a specialist. He's checking the clarity." Harry watched Rodney with an amused expression. "Go ahead, son. Check the refraction. Check the density." Rodney held a stone up to the light. His two GCEs, one of which was in art, were being pushed to their absolute limit. He remembered a documentary he'd seen on the Discovery Channel about diamond mining. The crystalline structure seems consistent, Rodney said, trying to sound like a man who spent his weekends in the vaults of De Beers. "But what about the provenance? Can we see the certification?" Harry let out a short, sharp laugh. "Certification? Son, if these stones had certificates, they wouldn't be 10 grand. They'd be 50. You're buying the opportunity, not the paperwork." Dell stepped forward, his rings gleaming. "We understand the risks, Harry. We're traders. We live on the edge. Give us 24 hours to assemble the capital." "You have until midday tomorrow," Harry said, sweeping the stones back into the bag. "After that, they go to a buyer from Antwerp, and he doesn't ask questions about GCEs. Chapter 35. The Valuation. Back in the van, the atmosphere was electric with a mixture of greed and terror. 10 grand, Dell," Rodney cried. "Where are we going to get 10 grand? We haven't even got 10 pounds for the congestion charge." "We've got the tactical money from the tournament," Dell said, his mind racing. "And I can sell the rest of the poultry sexers to a contact in the Highlands. He says they're great for grating salmon. That's only a few grand. We're still 7 short." "I'll talk to Boyke," Dell said, his jaw setting. "Boyke, he'll want a pound of your flesh for every tenner. He'll want a piece of the action, Rodney. He's always wanted to get into the diamond trade. He's got the vault. He's got the contacts. We bring him in as a silent partner." "Boyke, silent?" Rodney laughed. "He'll be telling everyone from here to Marbella that he's the Diamond King of Peckham before the sun goes down." "Let him talk," Dell shouted, swerving the van around a bus. "As long as he provides the readies. We're the brokers, Rodney. We're the brains. This is it. This is the big one, the Bermondsey-bling." As they rattled back toward Nelson Mandela House, Del Boy looked up at the gray London sky and saw only a glittering field of diamonds. He could almost feel the weight of the £1,000,000 check in his hand. "Mange tout, Rodney," he whispered. "Mange tout." Chapter 36. The King of the Car Lot. Boyke's residence, the Chestnuts, stood as a monument to 80s aspiration and questionable architectural choices. It was the kind of house that didn't just have a gravel driveway. It had gravel that was polished daily by a man who was terrified of Boyke's laugh. Dell and Rodney stood at the front door, Rodney checking his reflection in a brass knocker that was shaped like a lion with an identity crisis. "Remember, Rodney," Dell whispered, straightening his tie, "we're not begging. We're offering an unprecedented investment opportunity. We're the conduits of wealth." The door was opened by Marlene, who was wearing a tracksuit that had enough sequins to blind a low-flying pilot. "Dell, Rodney, come in. Boyke's in the library. He's currently reading a catalog of solid gold bidets." They were led into a room filled with leather-bound books that Boyke had clearly bought by the yard. Boyke was sitting behind a desk, looking like a man who had successfully privatized his own soul. "Derek, Rodney," Boyke drawled, not looking up. "I assume you're here about the poultry sexers. I've had 3 complaints from the SAS. Apparently, the haptic feedback turned out to be a short circuit that gave Mickey Pierce a permanent twitch." "Ignore Mickey, Boyke. He's high-strung," Dell said, sitting down uninvited. "We're here about something much more. Refined. Diamonds. Industrial grade. High-clarity stones from a private vault in Soho." Boyke finally looked up, a flicker of interest behind his cold, calculating eyes. "Diamonds, you say? And let me guess, you need a small capital injection to secure the lot?" "We need 7 grand, Boyke," Dell said, leaning in. "For a 50% stake in a lot worth 50 grand. Guaranteed return in 30 days. You provide the vault and the cash. We provide the expertise and the Soho connection." Boyke let out a long, nasal whistle. 50%, Derek, for 7 grand. You must be even more desperate than the water board thinks you are. "It's a partnership, Boyke," Dell insisted. "The Bermondsey Peckham Syndicate. Think of the prestige." "I'm thinking of the profit," Boyke said, standing up. "All right, Derek, I'll provide the cash, but I want 60%. And if this goes south, I'm taking the yellow van as collateral. I've always wanted a mobile chicken grading facility." Dell swallowed hard. He looked at Rodney, who was staring at a globe on the desk. 60%. Boyke, that's highway robbery. "Take it or leave it, Derek. The Antwerp buyer is waiting." Dell took a deep breath. "All right, 60%. Deal." Chapter 37. A Highland Fling. The final 3 grand was harder to come by. Dell had spent the entire morning on the phone to a man in the Scottish Highlands named Big Angus, who owned a salmon farm and a very large collection of kilts. "Angus, my old friend," Dell shouted into the receiver. "I've got exactly what you need. 50 state-of-the-art diagnostic marking devices, perfect for grading salmon by weight and gender without even touching them. It's the organic revolution. Gender of a salmon.